Hi everybody, welcome back to DayZ and welcome to the northeast airfield on Chernarus. But as you can see, we've got the Sakhal Bunker laid out, and not just the Sakhal Bunker, but the extra 1.29 edition that will be coming to public servers before too long. And if you weren't aware of it already, this new addition to the bunker, which is kind of on the side and has a different entrance, so you can get into the bunker now kind of through this entrance and through the doors at either end, but you'll still need to fire up the generator with the glow plugs to open up the doors inside 1 through 4. But inside here there are some secrets, so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to have a look at those and see if we can translate some of the stuff. Now, I'm absolutely rubbish at solving Easter eggs, so you probably will, so please put in the comments down below if you figure out what's going on. So if we go inside into one of the rooms, we can see, let me close this door so you have a bit of view. We have all this graffiti and these scratches on the wall, and there's various chemical symbols there. There's more chemical symbols there. There's that image there, which I'm pretty sure that's the king in yellow. That not sure about what all this is that's being crossed out. And then if we look here, we've got 35, I think it is. So someone was in here for 35 days, or counting off 30 days. And then we have this writing down here, another chemical symbol there, some more writing here. I'll give you a clue. That's another famous DayZ character. If we say the king in yellow is one DayZ character, who's the other character that we know about in DayZ that's named? And we've got this strange icon here as well, this like nut, or I don't know, whatever that is. And then we've got some more writing, and then we've got some more writing here as well, with some names that are repeated in Russian. And then if we go around here, we've clearly got some radio equipment here, and then we've got these tables with this stuff on. So let me zoom in so we can have a look here, and then here we go. Let's zoom in with the camera. There we go. Let's go up a little bit and go along. Okay, so what we'll do, in a second we'll come back and we'll look at these maps. But before that, let's jump out and look at some of this stuff all here. So what I've done is I've taken screenshots of lots of this stuff, and then you try to use Google Translate to translate it. So these ones, Hannah, are you okay? So that's interesting, isn't it? So maybe it's not the Yellow King who's been writing this. Maybe this is a message to Hannah. You know, if she finds this on Sakhal, you know, the question is, Hannah, are you okay? Maybe she's been asked that question. Maybe the Yellow King has been insane. Maybe it's Hannah herself who's writing this stuff and she's trapped and she's trying to not go insane. But I don't know. She seems fairly sane, doesn't she, Hannah? Whenever we see her in any of the trailers and stuff. What is obvious though is that the Yellow King, or the King in Yellow, is definitely chasing her and trying to get hold of her, isn't he, for something? Now these ones again. Now what we see, it's Hannah here, and then we can see we've got Hannah, are you okay? Are you okay? TV, okay? Hannah, you're okay. So it's kind of repeated again. I mean, I am sounding a bit Michael Jackson with that, aren't I? And more of these icons here, and then they've got this C1 here. And then this writing here is these names repeated: Ergen-Daria Ergen-Aapoy, Ergen-Parya Ergen-Darya. So these are kind of names, like Russian names, aren't they? Or Eastern European names. So interesting there. And then these walls, I tried to run this through Translate, but couldn't get anything out of it. Either way, I inverted it as well to see if anything could come out that way. However, when we start looking at these chemical formula or chemical symbols, and we start looking those up, we have CH3OH with H2O, and that's methanol is the first bit, combining with water. And methanol is soluble in water, but would make it poisonous. Well, methanol is poisonous, so I guess if you put methanol into water, it would become poisonous. Interesting. And then you also have CH3, which is methyl or methane. The chemical name for CH3 structure is a methyl group of methyl radical when unbonded. And then we see this other chemical, NaOH, which is sodium hydroxide or caustic soda. You probably know that. It's really kind of dangerous stuff that you can use it for cleaning things, but it causes really terrible burns. Let's see if I can see where that is. So that's NaO3. It's up here. NaOH, sorry. NaOH. Where are we? Yeah, so caustic soda, so there's a reference to that as well. And then there's also P as well, minus P. If we look at plus P, so if we look at that one, so that's the water with the where were we? Methanol and water. So we've got methanol and water with maybe potassium, which could burn as well. So, phosphorus. Sorry. So it's all a bit odd, but thinking that this is in like a weapons bunker, I'm thinking towards something to do with a weapon that's being used, or maybe these are the building blocks for the artillery strikes that are coming in on the various maps. With the gas. Because that would kind of, when we look at the maps in a minute, that will give you an idea too. Now, I ran that image through Google image search as well. There's nothing coming in, but I'm fairly sure that's the king in yellow because he's got his little spikes on his helmet there. C1 is to do with carbon. That was another thing that came up. And this one, I'm not sure what those, but I'm pretty sure the kind of that hexagonal sort of shape, isn't that like the warhead holders that are in the Livonia bunker? It may be worth someone, because I haven't done it already, but having a look in the Livonia bunker in experimental to see if there's been any changes in there. That's probably another thing that I should really do. So this is kind of all pointing towards some sort of weapons research as well. Now on the table there's this folder, and that translates to top secret. And also, this is where things get really fun. So if we look at here, so let's look at Livonia first. So with Livonia here, we've got initiative comes to them that wait, and then we've got the mark of the Yellow King there. So that's the castle where the Yellow King's helmet would spawn, and then we've got this piece of paper covering something up here, which I think is the quarry there or something. And then we've got get out, which that's the airfield, isn't it? And that's the other chemical strike place. If we go to Livonia, you can see there's the airfield there that gets the gas, permanent gas, and that's Radunin. Maybe this chemicals that we're learning about here are the permanent ones, because if we then have a look at the Chernarus map, what we can see is we've got these arrows pointing to where the wreck is, where the permanent gas is, and then down here, I think, to where military base Pavlovo is. So let's go to here. So military base Pavlovo is there, isn't it? So they're the permanent gas zones, one there and one there. So I think these are the ones we had before. Now we have evacuate, leave only warning. Evacuate, leave only warning, and then we've got a question mark going to the northwest airfield, and then going over to is that Chernarus? Severograd, sorry, isn't it? And then we have these things: I am 143 and UVB 76. Now we'll talk about that in a sec, but let's have a quick look at this map here. So this map here, this is you find this map on walls in lots of places, like the schools and things like that, and basically that's Chernarus there. And we think, see that Yellow King sign there, it says Angisan, that's where the new DayZ map's going to be. And here we have Hannah. So is Hannah there? Because the Yellow King's looking for Hannah. And then we've got this mark here. So that there, that's the missing island that never got put back into Chernarus, I don't think. I forget the name of it right now. but it's in Armour 2. So there's that. We've got the pictures of, looks like maybe a scientist there. Zoom into it. There we go. So Hannah. So there's Chernarus. There's Chernarus, you see. Is Hannah in there? Skiliski Island. And I can't remember the name of that island. But there are mods on PC where you can go to that island. So we've got Hannah there, and she's moving over there. Not to Takistan, maybe, because that's not the Armour 2 map. But she's gone round here, and she's ended up here in Nazdara. So this is where the new DayZ map's going to be. The desert map is going to be next year, which is pretty cool. So I think that's all explaining that little bit. Now let's jump back and look at this UVB-76 reference. Now UVB-76 was a Russian radio station transmission that may well have been something to do with the Russian military, and the idea it just transmits like a buzz. And one of the reasons this might be is that if you always want to have a particular frequency open for your use, for other uses, so that nobody else uses it, you constantly transmit on it, just like static. So if somebody comes along and thinks, oh, I want to use this frequency for something, they can't because you're already there. And then what would happen with UVB-76? There would be the transmissions every now and again, like these codes that would get sent out. So like the numbers codes from Black Ops 1 in Call of Duty. Maybe it's a military thing, where they're giving out these codes to agents or military places, kind of over an open frequency, so that if you know what these mean, then they mean something to you. If you don't, they don't. And this radio was actually at a place called Poverovo, near Moscow, in Russia, there. And where this came from, it was actually based on, the Green Mountain Radio building was based on the UVB-76 radio station, I think. Well, according to Google, it was anyway. Now, if this is old news and people are going, oh, this is old news, we knew this already, then apologies if you've already heard about that. But I think that's pretty cool. So it's kind of pulling things together, isn't it? The fact that we've got these chemical weapon strikes. We've got Hannah has left Chernarus. She's left. There we go. So we're saying she left Chernarus, didn't she? Maybe she went through Livonia, and now she's going to the new DayZ desert map, which I've completely forgotten what it's called. The new DLC, Badlands, is it? The new Badlands DLC. So there we go. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe you should run some of the stuff through your translation, or maybe you have a look at it, and then people there who've got a better idea and better deciphering this sort of thing. But it's a lot of fun, isn't it, just to have a look at this stuff and get some of the backstory within DayZ, and kind of to imagine the fact that when we're out there trying to survive, when we're trying to open that tin of peaches, that actually the King in Yellow is chasing down Hannah in order to find her secrets, whatever they might be. So you can get these now. You can look at them on DayZ experimental 1.29 servers for Xbox and PC on Sakhal. If you've got experimental on PC, for your local PC, you can download the experimental server, run a local server, and look at it there. But there we go. Hopefully this has been interesting. If it has, hit like. If you've got any ideas, put them down below. And of course, I'll see you again soon.